You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
I'm white. I got you, huh?
Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Lord, y'all. Some people who are in elected office, I don't understand how they got there. Lord have mercy. I don't. Listen to what this fool said during an education hearing in Louisiana. This actually happened, y'all. This is not an SNL skit.
Let's talk about page 4, section E, line 21.
On the original bill?
This is the bill that you had marked up for us and sent us that shows the red line changes. So that might be a little different, but I think it is section E. It says nothing in the section shall be construed to do any of the following: inhibit or violate First Amendment rights of students or employees, and or undermine intellectual freedom or freedom of expression, prevent a school from promoting racial, cultural, ethnic, intellectual, or academic diversity or inclusiveness if such efforts are consistent with the provisions of this section. Is that section it's referring back to the entire bill?
Yeah, that's when you use that term, when it's capitalized, it's referring to this section of law.
Section 3, part 3 of this. Prohibited discussion of divisive concepts as part of a larger course of academic instruction. To me, what you're saying here contradicts much of the bill. And when I initially reviewed this bill, I found it confusing and hard to follow. And I think when we give it to a teacher in the classroom, I don't know how they are going to make this section E seems to contradict what you're saying in the rest of the bill. So what would you consider part of a larger course of academic instruction?
First off, if you go to page 4, line 16, it says D1, each school governing authority shall adopt policies and procedures for the investigation of complaints relative to noncompliance with this section. So the policies and procedures sets out what the policies and procedures should maintain. So the teachers won't get this bill. The teachers will receive the policies and procedures as set out by the district.
Okay, but let's go back to part 3 of this. Prohibit discussion of divisive concepts as part of a larger course of academic instruction. What does that mean?
Exactly what it says. I mean, the words on the page are if there's
But what is a larger course of academic instruction?
If you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be, on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly,
There's no good to slavery, though.
Well, then whatever the case may be, you're right. You're right. I did mean to imply that, and I don't believe that, and I know that that's the case. But I'm using that good, bad, and ugly as a generic way of saying that you can teach any factually based anything, regardless.
None of us were around when slavery occurred. We can rely on the history that was written about that time. We can rely on primary documents that we have found, but nobody sitting here on the earth was around when the United States had slavery. So
none of us were alive when most of history was written.
History is constantly being written. It is a fluid concept.
How can history? A fact is a fact. So I don't understand what you mean by a fluid. Please explain to me what you mean by a fluid concept.
I'm saying history is yesterday. History is 2 days ago.
And what occurred. That's exactly what I'm saying. We agree on that.
But we can experience the same event and potentially have differing views. I mean, you know that as an attorney, that witness testimony can vary. It comes back to there are divisive concepts that are taught in the larger course of academic instruction, and the first part of this bill seems to contradict the ability that you're allowing them to teach divisive concepts as a part of a larger course of academic instruction. And I think that's when many of the opponents have had trouble reconciling those two ideas.
The Black Caucus, they want Representative Ted James to be removed as a result of this nonsense. I can't even just really. First of all, so Ted James joins us right now. This is Representative Garofalo with these crazy comments. The good, the bad. Really? Really, sir? I'm confused.
You know, Roland, we were all confused. You know, the fact that this person was elected, that's problematic. The fact that this person is the chairman of the education committee. He is a leader in our body, and would say something so stupid, so insensitive, and borderline racist is extremely problematic to us. And as the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, we've asked for his immediate removal from the position. And I think that we've also been joined by several of our Republican colleagues who also know that he shouldn't represent our body in a leadership role. So
Republicans agree with y'all and said, yeah, he got to go.
You know, Republicans pleaded with him for months. 3 months ago, he brought up an issue because LSU had a series called Dismantling the Vestiges of Racism, and they wanted to dismantle white supremacy. And he said that white supremacy doesn't exist. We don't have structural racism. So him starting this conversation 3 months ago, and on yesterday, our Speaker of the House, who was a Republican, asked him not to run that bill, and he had promised the Speaker and he promised myself that he wouldn't run the bill. And 3 hours later, he's now a national headline for his racism and his stupidity.
So what's next? Is it going to be removed?
We don't know yet. I had a 2-hour meeting today with the Speaker. The Speaker is hearing from not only the Black Caucus, but other members of the legislature who are Republican and other constituency groups. I know that the Speaker of the House, the Democrats and the Black Caucus put him in office as Speaker, but I know he's going to take the weekend to, make a decision.
I really get a kick out of, this is, I've listened to Senator Tim Scott last night. I really get a kick out of how nearly every time it's one of these stories, it's a Republican who's involved.
Republicans continue to show us why we need to elect more Democrats. I was appalled that Tim Scott continues to allow himself to be used by the Republican Party to stand up there and say what we all know to be false. We know, especially in a state like Louisiana, we rank 50th in education, and this is the guy who is the chair of our education committee. And he says that there's no structural racism in a building. I go into a state capitol every day with the images of slaves sketched into the building. So for him to make that idiotic comment as a chairman is extremely problematic. And then, I think that was what was even worse is that he took the floor yesterday in what we thought was going to be an apology. And he said, well, number one, the Speaker asked me to come down here. And I apologize that the media is taking my comment out of context. You all know me, and if you want to come talk to me about it, come see me at my desk. That was equally as insulting and probably even more insulting than his idiotic comment that he made in that committee yesterday.
I get a kick out of folks who are saying comments were taken out of context when we played the entire comment in text.
No.
Go ahead. Final comments.
No, we'll continue to push for his removal. We've also said that he needs to be made to attend some of those classes at LSU because I think his comments speak to the need for institutions like LSU and Southern University to have these conversations because obviously the people that we've elected don't understand the history of racism because they can't even admit that it exists. So I would hope that the Speaker would also encourage him and if not, demand that he attend some of these conversations because obviously he needs to hear them.
All right. Representative James, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, brother.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.